Hello, star people. My name is Christopher. I'm the AstroMedium and your host, intuitive astrologer for tonight's weekly cosmic forecast. We're going to be taking a look at the astrological energies for the week of January 24th through January 30th. We're going to take a look at each day, day by day. We're going to break down the moon activity, when the moon ingresses into different signs. We're also going to cover some major energies that are coming up. We're going to come up on the full moon in Leo this upcoming week, so that's some exciting energy we're coming into. Lots of energy around that full moon, lots of sun activity, lots of new desires, new ways of getting things done, new ideas coming to the surface, new pathways being brought to us to get to where we want to go, and new structured routines along the process as well. We're being fortified, we're being supported, and we are also being called to heal, and we're going to discuss all of that. So I'm going to cover the energies day by day, and then later in the video I'm going to go into some of these energies more. You can understand how to work with them, how to prepare for them, what to expect physically, mentally, and emotionally, and also how you can come up with a game plan, maybe even formulate your own full moon ritual. I will have my own full moon ritual on my Instagram at the.astromedium. If you're not already following me on Instagram, you absolutely should. And also TikTok, both of them at the.astromedium. ASTRO medium. Also, if you'd like to book a reading with me, you can go straight to my website, www.christopherwithayMedium.com. I also teach astrology class at Eclipse over Roswell here in Atlanta, Georgia. You can join us every Wednesday night. Soon to be, we're going to have 6-week courses, 102 and 101 classes. But right now we have a weekly, every Wednesday night class open to the public every Wednesday at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. If you want more information about that, you can go to eclipseoverroswell.com, or you can pre-register for that class at visiteclipse.as.me/astro. And if you need to hear that again, rewind this video. So let's start with Sunday, January 24th. So this there's not a lot of major transits happening right then. On the 23rd, we had a lot of energy packed in there. We had Mars making a tense square to Jupiter. We had Venus making a supportive sextile to Neptune, and then the Sun forming his first conjunction to Saturn in the sign of Aquarius in 29 years. So that was very exciting, or that is going to be very exciting. I'm going to talk a little bit more about that energy later, but we're still going to be sitting in that energy on January 24th. Gemini, so there's going to be some erratic emotion, some tendency to avoid emotional states altogether, but the moon's going to make a conjunction to the North Node. If you're not familiar with what the North Node is, that is the trajectory of the soul. Rahu in Vedic astrology, the North Node is our soul path. It's what we're becoming from a soul purpose, kind of like what we came in on this life to work on. We all came in separately, we have our own North Node, but when the moon makes a conjunction to the North Node, we as a collective, we're all being stimulated to subconsciously reprogram ourselves onto our path and where we're going from a higher perspective, not from an ego perspective, from where the soul has directed the energy to go. The moon will be also making a square to Neptune that day, so there's going to be some hypersensitivity, some tendency to be not just sensitive to light and sound, but sensitive to emotional stimuli as well. Taking in way too much. It's like an emotional sponge with Moon square Neptune, and that can also cause some confusion, not really feeling things for what they really are as well. So Moon will also be making a quincunx to Venus that day. Not that big of a deal, but that can cause some issues within us towards our relationships, feeling disconnected in some way, so we want to look out for that. Now let's move to Monday, January 25th. The Moon will enter Cancer at 1:53 p.m. The Moon is going to do a lot of shit that day, okay? So the Moon is going to make quite a few quincunxes. For those of you who are not familiar with what a quincunx is, I know that sounds really tasty. Quincunx is a 150-degree angle. It is challenging in certain ways. It's one sign away from being in opposition, except it's not in opposition. So if you make a choice, the quincunx still yields more challenge. So with the moon making a quincunx to Pluto and Saturn that day, we've got some power struggles that may come up, and not really sure how to handle that. Also, they're telling me more emotional stimuli coming in that we don't know how to process and handle in the moment that we may have to reflect on later. The moon will be making a trine to Mercury, so we're going to be really clear about how we want our emotional needs met that day, especially because the moon will be in her ruling sign of Cancer. So we're going to be in our feelings and we're going to be really clear about how we want to get those needs met. However, one of the big themes that are going to play out over this year, of course, is Jupiter sextile Chiron, which is already happening now, and Saturn gearing up to make his sextile to Chiron as well. On January 25th, the Sun will be making an exact sextile to Chiron in Aries at 5 degrees. And we're going to talk more about this energy in a little bit because the Sun is illuminating that path and preparing us for that. Now let's move to Tuesday, January 26th. This is where things get a little bit more tense. This is where the clouds start to roll in, the lightning starts to strike, the thunder starts to rumble. So the moon is going to make a sextile to Uranus and Mars, which is exciting, but the moon is squaring Chiron. So while you have this supportive sextile to Mars and Uranus, which is something we have to act on, but it gives us a potential to break free of something, to try something new, and to feel more passionate about where we're putting our energy. The moon making a tense 90-degree angle square to Chiron, however, is going to bring up some emotional triggers for us. And you want to be very mindful and pay attention to that, because whatever the moon brings up for you on January 26th in the way of your natural wounding, if you're not familiar with Chiron, Chiron is known as the wounded healer in astrology. To make a long story short, he is a half asteroid, half comet, named after the half man, half horse Chiron, who was wounded, who spent most of his life trying to heal himself, and in the process healed thousands and helped so many. In astrology, we look to this asteroid in the middle of the orbit between Saturn and Uranus as the rainbow bridge. So we can't get from the old structured ways into the new innovative ways without healing ourselves. And that's kind of the idea behind that. And that's how that energy pulls us and calls us to heal and evolve and awaken to something new. Whatever the Chiron brings up for you, and if you're not sure where your Chiron is in your chart, you need to be getting on your phone right now and looking up, where is my Chiron? What sign is my Chiron in? Whatever you need to do, you need to be getting familiar with Chiron, because that is a major energy that's going to play out in this year. We're going to talk more about that. With whatever comes up, we want to pay attention, because that's trying to be healed by the energy during this full moon in Leo, which you're going to start feeling the full moon in Leo energy on Monday. On Tuesday, you're really going to feel it start to amp up. We've already been experiencing anxiety and restlessness and a lot of heart palpitations and things due to Mars conjunct Uranus and this Mars square Jupiter energy that's coming up, which is wanting to expel a lot of this very aggressive energy out in sudden, shocking, and more exaggerated ways. On Tuesday, January 26th, the sun will be at 6 degrees of Aquarius, making a square, a 90-degree angle to Uranus in Taurus. So that is going to be somewhat challenging, okay? Sun sextile Chiron is an easy flowing energy. It's an opportunity to heal the ego in some way. So we've got Sun making a sextile to Chiron, the moon the next day bringing up some emotional triggers from the subconscious world, some subconscious programming that might be making you identify with your wounding coming up, and then the sun making a square to Uranus. It's exciting, but it's challenging. You could break free, okay, of some kind of ego story that you have of yourself, but that usually causes you to sit more in your ego and be more reactive. So we want to be mindful of that. So during that whole time, see what comes up for you, because that's when you want to take into your full moon ritual, and you want to take into that full moon energy, and you want to release and bring in something new, okay? And having that conscious awareness, which the sun is giving us that opportunity to have, that conscious awareness of what needs to be healed or what is coming up, or to understand, I know when my ego's taking over, when that ability, that observer state that you're going to have presented to you is a key to getting the most out of that full moon in Leo energy. So let's move to Wednesday, January 27th. The moon will enter Leo at 9:56 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and this is going to be a confusing day. While we will be pulled in it is a moon ruled day, so we don't have any major transits happening. It's just the moon, and she's doing a lot that day. So she's making a trine to Neptune, which is beautiful. That's giving us a chance to download more information psychically, to feel more in tune with things on a deeper level, to take it a little bit easier, except the moon's also going to make an opposition to Venus and Pluto. This can cause some really intense emotional reactions, feeling like you want intimacy and can't have it, disconnection from partners. The moon will also make a quincunx to Mercury, so there's some confusion in there as well. So Wednesday's definitely a day. The moon will enter Leo later in the day, but while the moon is still in Cancer making a trine to Neptune, really great for spiritual work, really great for being alone, withdrawing from everything, feeling home within yourself, especially when that moon makes that opposition to Pluto. That can really take those emotions to a dark, deep place that we may not be ready to go. And then the opposition to Venus, this is important, as the next day, on the day of the full moon, Venus makes an exact conjunction to Pluto. So let's jump into Thursday, January 28th. The moon, whether it was a full moon or not, the moon is very busy and stirring shit up. I mean, so much energy is packed into Thursday, and during that full moon, there's so much energy happening, so many exact alignments, and so much moon activity. A lot of you are going to be very overwhelmed, very quick to frustration and anger, as well as very quick to break down. Lots of healing will be coming in, and we're going to break down some of this full moon in energy, or full moon in Leo energy here in a little bit. So the moon will be making a square to Uranus and Mars. Oh my God. The moon will be making an opposition to Saturn and Jupiter. Oh my God. The moon will also be making an opposition to the sun. Obviously, that's what creates that full moon energy. And then Venus will be making her conjunction to Pluto, and the sun will be making a conjunction to Jupiter. So this is really a lot of different energies coming in there. It all has a common theme. It all has this big picture, and I'm going to zoom out and give you the big picture after we dissect some of the details. But that is a lot of ungroundedness that might come your way, and a lot of ego stuff. The moon's going to be in Leo. My moon is in Leo, so it would feel like home if we didn't have all of those squares and oppositions happening, which are going to hit me really hard. Okay, so let's move to Friday, January 29th. The moon is going to quincunx Neptune, Pluto, and Venus. So again, some confusion that will happen, some power plays, again, some relationship stuff. We're definitely going to still be sitting in there because Venus making a conjunction to Pluto is heavy energy, and we're going to cover that here in a little bit. The moon's going to oppose Mercury on Friday, which will cause some miscommunications to happen. We're also not communicating from an authentic place. We're not getting our emotional needs met, and we're not able to communicate that out. That can show up in that way as well. But Mars in Taurus is going to make an exact conjunction to Lilith in Taurus at 11 degrees. This is really intense energy. It's fiery, it's passionate. Lilith is it's Black Moon Lilith is what this is called. It's in relationship to the moon. This is not an actual planetary body out there or one of the asteroids. This is kind of like the North Node and South Node. It's a mathematical point in relationship to the moon, where the light never hits. And Lilith, I like to compare her to Pluto and Uranus, mixing them together. She's rebellious, but she's dark. She covers a lot of territory. She's divine feminine energy, but she covers a lot of abuse, sexual stuff, a lot of things that are very plutonic in nature, but she's also rebellious, and she stands up on her own and she challenges things. That's very Uranian in nature. So Mars making that conjunction to Lilith is going to be very internal for a lot of us. It's not going to be as explosive as Mars conjunct Uranus, which we just experienced on January 20th, and we're still sitting in that energy now. But Mars making that conjunction to Lilith is implosive. There's a lot of things that may come to the surface, like rage, guilt, shame, things that you want to, a lot of ego dramas as well around how you're getting what you're wanting, how you're getting things done in an aggressive way, in ways that are not, I'm going to say, beneficial to the whole or beneficial to your vitality either. There's some self-sabotage energy with Mars conjunct Lilith, so we want to be careful with that. Now let's move to Saturday, January 30th. We're going to finish off the week rather calm, so The storm has calmed. We're still going to be in that full moon in Leo energy, but the moon will enter Virgo at 3:04 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. And the moon that day is going to make a trine. Trines are 120-degree angles. They're powerful, but they're positive. They're easy flowing. They're generous in what they give you. It's almost effortless. It's like things just falling in your lap. It's that type of energy. Think of like a slope, something that you send down the slide. It's just going to, gravity's just going to take it there and it's going to land where it's supposed to go. The moon is going to make a trine to Uranus, Mars, and Lilith. So this is going to lighten the energy up towards the end of the week. A lot of things will have surfaced for us. A lot of experience will have been had, or experiences will have been had. A lot of new awarenesses you're going to come to have surfaced, and you're now more aware of it. A lot of action will probably have been taken, and sometimes we might regret some of it, as we will want to take action on things from an ego place or from a place of impatience and impulsiveness, not really wanting to seek out the long term. So we want to be careful with that. Now, I want to dissect some of these energies more in depth. The Sun on January 23rd is going to make his first conjunction to Saturn in Aquarius in about 29 years. This is major energy. We're going to feel this in a sense of, of course, it's Saturn, so it's serious energy. Sun conjunct Saturn happens about once a year. It happens once a year, but not in the sign of Aquarius, because Saturn hasn't been in Aquarius since I was born, okay? So I'm in the middle of my Saturn return right now. So this is going to stimulate me in an even bigger way as well. The Sun is our consciousness, okay? It's our vitality, our life force. It is that sense of self and I am presence. It's that identifier, and it's those energies we're becoming. And forming and joining forces with Saturn is really wanting us to get structured, very clear, more focused. We are wanting to, Saturn's in Aquarius now, so we're wanting to get structured and focused on a new path. We're going to take careful steps. We're going to create an action plan and set long-term goals in this new direction and in new ways. We're being challenged and we're being given an opportunity to step up to the plate, to bring a new idea in and then form a clear decision and an action plan that will get us there, that will not only benefit the whole but benefit us, okay? Where are you? What desires are you wanting to go in? Okay, right now Mercury is making a trine to the North Node, which is significant because Mercury is going to go retrograde on January 30th and make a trine to the North Node again. So we're mentally still sitting in that mental energy and focused more on our path and our soul purpose. So Saturn's coming in to get us more structured there, and the Sun always shines a light, if you will, kind of shining a light on the path, getting you ready, showing you the way, kind of like an usher in a theater, okay? Being a guiding light. The Sun is preparing us for a lot of these major energies that are coming up. Now, shortly after that, on January 25th, we're going to have a couple more Sun transits that are very important, as they're going to highlight and prepare us for the major energies that are going to happen for the rest of the year. So on the 25th, the Sun is going to make his supportive sextile to Chiron. This is going to stimulate us in healthy ways if we choose to. It's healing of the ego, but it's also more awareness and more embodiment. The Sun helps us to embody things more, to take it into our identity, to identify with things. So with the Sun being in a supportive angle to Chiron, it's saying, how can you identify with your wounds, your insecurities, your weaknesses, those things you don't wish you have, those traumas, those experiences that haunt you? How can you identify with them differently and in a more positive way? How can you own it and make it a part of who you are and make it a part of something that has gotten you where you've gotten, rather than something that's kept you from where you wanted to go? That's one of the key factors of this year. So right now we're sitting in Jupiter sextile Chiron, which is a much longer transit. Sun transits are very fast. They happen within a few days. Jupiter is making a sextile to Chiron right now, and Saturn is a degree away from making an exact sextile to Chiron. And this is one of the major energies that are going to play out through this year. There are some heavy, tense energies that are happening on the surface that you are going to feel and see play out on the world stage. But underneath of all of that, Saturn and Jupiter are making a sextile to Chiron, which is a potential. Sextiles you have to take action on. You have to be the one to agree to it. It's not like a trine. It doesn't just slide down and hit you and land in your lap. Sextiles say, if you meet me halfway, or if you come and step up to the plate, you're going to get an experience out of this that is beneficial and helps you to grow. Jupiter and Saturn joining forces, sextiling Chiron, this vibration is going to underline this major energy that's playing out through this year. And Saturn and Chiron are going to travel together. There's going to be some retrograde action that happens, which moves them apart, but they're relatively close together, and this is going to play out through the rest of the year. Now, the next day, on January 26th, the Sun is going to make his exact square to Uranus. And again, this is extremely significant as the Sun is preparing us for the energies at large. Jupiter on January 17th already formed his exact square to Uranus in Taurus, and Jupiter square Uranus. Anytime Jupiter's in the mix, you can expect some benevolence, optimism. Even when it's a tense square or an opposition, there is still this opportunity to expand and grow, and there's still this positive outlook that comes with it. Jupiter can exaggerate things, but he's usually always on our side, and there's usually some kind of opportunity that he's bringing to us, or some people he's bringing to us to support us. It's very benevolent. I love Jupiter energy. Jupiter square Uranus we're still sitting in that energy, is very important not only to technology. I mean, Jupiter-Uranus energies have been very important in technological and scientific breakthroughs throughout history, but also very significant in Black history. I know I've said this in previous videos, so I don't want to be too repetitive, but Jupiter and Uranus energies, Jupiter and Uranus were having a communication or a dialogue, let's say, during the Nat Turner Slave Rebellion, the beginning of the Civil Rights Movement, the Emancipation Proclamation in 1862, when the last time Jupiter was in Aquarius in 2008, when Barack Obama became the first Black president. Jupiter and Uranus were having a dialogue with each other. This is very important, and of course now we've just elected and officiated, is that the right word? Our first Black female vice president. So this is an amazing time to be alive, and we could say that Jupiter and Uranus had something to do with that. Thank you. Anyway, Saturn is really the key player, though. Saturn is gearing up to make he is now. It's that energy's already coming in, but when Saturn gets to 6 degrees of Aquarius, you want to look at where you have 6 degrees of Aquarius in your chart, or where you have around 6 degrees of Scorpio, Taurus, or Leo, or Aquarius. If you have anything around 6 degrees, so from like 3 degrees to 9 degrees of Scorpio, Leo, Aquarius, or Taurus, you're going to get hit pretty hard by Saturn, by a lot of these energies this year, because this is the year of Aquarius. So, and it's powerful, it's positive, it's transformative, it's going to move you to a new place. This isn't bad, but a lot of it will feel very challenging. Saturn is gearing up to make his exact square to Uranus. And that is going to happen 3 times this year. I think it's February 17th, June 14th, and December 24th. So that is really the main theme of this year, this major energy that's going to play out. 2020 had a lot of them. This year has this more focus on Saturn and Uranus, which in and of itself is very shocking and very volatile in its own way. We're wanting to bring in so much newness, and Saturn's trying to restrict and bring the keyhole down. There's like sending it's like a black hole the size of a straw, okay? All of this universal life forces are trying to come through this little tiny straw. So it's going to feel like we can't breathe sometimes. But underneath of all of that, you've got this supportive sextile to Chiron. So the Sun is preparing us for all of that. And again, like I said, be mindful what comes up for you on the 26th when Sun squares Uranus, because the Moon will square Chiron. So there might be something that comes up that you can take into your full Moon in Leo ritual and heal that. So let's talk about the full Moon in Leo. The Moon and the Sun will be at an opposition. That's what makes a full moon. They're 180 degrees apart. And the Moon is in the sign that the Sun rules. So this is a very weird place for it to be. The Moon doesn't necessarily perform the best in Leo. And I know that because I have a Moon in Leo. The moon being in Leo means that we want our emotional needs met by being validated, by being accepted, by being seen for our creative talents and our abilities, and to be put on a pedestal and be adored. Leo is very, there's some selfishness energy there, but being ruled by the sun, there's a lot of ego around that. So there's a lot of ego stuff that's coming up for us now. And we're being pulled in this opposite direction from wanting to take all that we are and find ourselves becoming more individualized, which is Aquarius energy. With Aquarius, it's all about being unique and noticed for being an individual and being a part of a collective or the human collective as a whole. He's the humanitarian. So we're pulled in these two different directions. Now, we have a T square that's happening that day. We've got major energies, but the T square is one of the main energies that are going to play out as we have Mars and Uranus gathered here in Taurus, making a square to the moon in Leo. We've got Mars and Uranus and Taurus making a square to Sun, Jupiter, and Saturn in Aquarius. And then you've got Sun, Jupiter, and Saturn in Aquarius making an opposition to that moon in Leo. So you've got this thing going on here that is a larger organism that is sending out a larger signal that is activating many parts of us in challenging ways. So there's going to be lots of anxiety and insomnia and sleeplessness around this full moon. But there's a lot of emotional stuff that's coming up and a lot of things that you're not going to want to let go of. Leo is fixed. Aquarius is fixed. We want to hold on, hold on. This stuff is happening too fast. We're a little resistant to change. The sun will also be making a exact conjunction to Jupiter. Jupiter expands everything he touches, but he can exaggerate it as well. So on top of that, you've got this drama and this melodrama from Leo. All of this, emotions are much more dramatized than they actually are. Objects appear much closer than they actually are. That also is indicative of Jupiter energy. Jupiter's going to take our energy and it's going to boost our confidence a little too much. Leo's already confident enough, but the sun's also going to get that boost from Jupiter. We can handle this. We don't need to heal. We're already where we're supposed to be. I can do this. I'm ready to take that chance now. And with all this Saturn energy, especially after having just made a conjunction to the sun less than a week before that, Saturn is telling us, hold on. Yes, you do have what it takes. I'm here to reward you for that. But how are you going to get where you're going in the most logical way and in the most practical way? Saturn wants to restrict some of that energy, but we're going to have a lot of energy trying to get out of us that day. So I highly recommend having some sex. And speaking of sex, on top of just sex, you should definitely be doing some workout, yoga, dance, whatever it is to move that energy. But Venus and Pluto are also joining forces in the sign of Capricorn. Now, Venus in Capricorn, she's practical. She is logical. She relates to her partners through her work. She wants to give them love through acts of service and gifts and stability. She wants to offer stability and success for her partners. And forming that conjunction with Pluto is going to make her get really real, really raw, and really intimate. And it's going to make her a little uncomfortable. Venus conjunct Pluto, no matter what sign it is in, is intense, smoldering energy. There can be energies of abuse that comes up in relationships, issues of mental abuse, control issues, possessiveness, manipulation may come up around this full moon as well. You've got the moon making a square to Uranus and Mars, so there's a lot of emotional excitement, reactiveness, aggressiveness, confrontation energy. This may come up in your relationships. However, the moon is also going to make a beautiful and supportive and powerful trine to Chiron at the time of this full moon. This is giving you a chance to take what came up for you on January 26th and heal it in a specific way. The full moon energies are all about manifesting, releasing, getting you really clear on something as well. Of course, there's those physical, mental, and emotional symptoms of ascension and of these, especially someone like me. I am a rising sign. I have a rising sign in Cancer. So I'm very affected. My body's very affected by moon phases. And with the moon trine Chiron, we're being given a chance to heal something during this full moon as well. So don't take this opportunity lightly. Also, with Mercury making a trine to the North Node still, we are being mentally stimulated. Where's all this going in the greater perspective? Are we in alignment with our soul's path? Even when you feel like you're off, you're usually still on. The soul is in control. But do you feel like you're where you're supposed to be? Not just in life, but Do you feel that satisfaction, and do you feel like you're making your way there no matter how bumpy the road is? A lot of this stuff is going to come up for you at this time. I really suggest, because Leo is really, when I think of Leo, I think of my inner child. I have a lot of Leo in me, so of course he represents my inner child. But Leo is the ruler of the fifth house. And that's all of that play and recreation and children and childhood, all of that energy. So what can be healed at this time is the inner child. So I will have a full moon ritual on my Instagram for you to perform if you want something a little bit more choreographed, and it'll be centered around inner child work this time, creativity. And it's also important to note that the full moon in Cancer that we experienced at the end of December was powerful, but the moon was squaring Chiron at that time. So you also want to look back at what came up for you during that full moon in Cancer. How have you changed since then? And what is it that you can take into this full moon that is ready to heal? It's not just surfaced, it's not just in your face. Now it's ready to be transmuted and be ready to be felt differently and perceived differently. So lots of energy packed into one day and into one experience. You've got a T-square, you've got Sun conjunct Jupiter, Venus is over there with Pluto forming a conjunction, so it's heavy, it's somewhat hot, heated, things boiling to the surface, and lots of ego stuff. You're going to be asked to let go of things that aren't serving you anymore, and it's usually subconscious programming around what makes you validated and what makes you special, and how you can take what makes you special and those creative talents you have, those abilities you have, that beauty that you have within you, and take it with it. That's that Aquarius energy, and that's what we're moving into. So also with, okay, Anna has a question. She says, I have a quick question for you if you have time to answer. Do you think that the groom or bride asteroid placement in a birth chart is accurate? Anna, when you say the groom or bride asteroid, what can you tell me what you mean by that? Are they the ones that have a specific name? Because Chiron, we could look at Chiron and Chariklo as the groom and the bride, because that's Chiron and his wife. So Chariklo is also an asteroid centaur out there that I look at and I use in birth charts as well. So also with the moon or Mars making a conjunction to Lilith the next day, please be mindful where you're putting your energy, and please be, if you've got anger and rage and things that are coming up and things that feel very volatile, don't numb it, get it out in some way. Scream it out, cry it out, whatever you have to do. All right, everybody, if you have any questions for me, please feel free to go to my website, www.christopherwithawymedium.com. If you have any questions about astrology and you want to learn more, you can go to my website, contact me, or you can go follow me on Instagram at the.astromedium or TikTok, the.astromedium. I post forecasts, weekly forecasts, energy updates, ascension and awakening facilitation material. I also am an empath coach as well, so I help empaths and highly sensitive people own their abilities and get clear about how they can live their life in honor of their specific sensitivities. So I will see you all next week for another weekly cosmic forecast. I appreciate you all joining me again. If you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to me. I love what I do. Everyone, have a great night.